Welcome back to the BNI Maximize Your ROI podcast. I guess it's a podcast. I'm Brennan. I am the executive director of BNI Central Maryland, and I'm here today because I want to talk to you about something that happens a lot in BNI. People come to us and they start BNI with the idea they're going to get referrals, and that's absolutely what it is. It is a referral network. It's a referral marketing network. How do we get business? Well, we get referrals to each other. But that is only part of what the draw is for BNI. The truth is, we come to BNI for the referrals, but we stay for a lot of other reasons. And I wanted to talk to those other reasons today. I want to talk to you about those other reasons why people stay, what it is that we love about BNI. And you'll hear people say all the time, they'll say, "Oh, I drank the BNI Kool-Aid." Or they'll say to other people, "Oh, you drank the BNI Kool-Aid, right?" And we're kind of being funny, but the truth is, I don't think that's how it works. We didn't drink the Kool-Aid. Usually when we come to BNI and we stay for a long time, it's because we got here and we realized, oh, these are my people. This is where I was supposed to be. This is my group of people who are really getting me, and I'm getting so much out of it. So I wanted to talk about, what is that thing? What are those things? Actually, there are at least 5 of them. And I'd love to hear from you about what the other ones are. But there are at least 5 things we're getting out of BNI. And let's just talk about them. One is an increased confidence in speaking about your business. I had a conversation with this morning with a lovely lady, and she was trying to tell me about her business. And I sat back and I listened, and she went on for probably 20 minutes. And I still wasn't 100% sure what she does. I know what she does, but I wasn't 100% sure about what made her different or what made her special, or why I should choose her over somebody else. And BNI helps you to do that. They help you to define what that is. And sometimes that's in your 30-second presentation. I'll give you an example of a good 30 seconds presentation. You might start with, when there's this particular problem. So, when you know that most of your referrals come kind of by accident, and you should have a plan, that's where BNI comes in. So the second part is, that's where I come in. So that's where BNI comes in. We are a referral marketing organization. We work together to help you get referrals. It's a system, right? As a matter of fact, this week I spoke with somebody who got a $600,000. He received a $600,000 referral for his business from somebody. Now, that's an unusual amount. I hear a lot from people about referrals they get. Usually, sometimes they're between 1,000 and I've had 60,000, but 600,000 was quite a bit. But they had that this week. So my 30 seconds, I could boil down what BNI is and how it works in a really quick 30 seconds if I wanted to. So I could say to you, do you know when you need more business, but you don't know how to get it? That's where BNI comes in. We help people get referrals. We have a system created to get more referrals every single week. As a matter of fact, I recently worked with a realtor who received a $600,000 referral, and he was so excited. He walked away with $100,000 in his pocket from that particular deal. And that's what BNI is all about. So it's very simple. It can help you increase your confidence in speaking about your business in particular, but speaking in general as well. It can help you with personal growth. This is where it really helped me. I'm going to tell you, I started in BNI in 2016. I had been a stay-at-home mom for 16 years. I had done some work from home things, and then I had taken a marketing job in a running shoe store. But I decided to start a marketing company, and I joined BNI thinking, I'm not sure this is even really a business, and I'm not sure what I'm doing. And I think I'm just going to put together a resume. I'll do this until I put together a resume and I start a business. And now 9 years later, I not only have that business that has grown and thrived, I also bought BNI Central Maryland, and I started a charity for suicide prevention. So I have developed personally through BNI. I've learned how to hire people, and unfortunately, I've had to learn how to fire people. I've learned how to be a better leader. I've learned how to price my services in a good way, in a way that was worth my effort, my time and my effort. I've I have learned to value my services as well. There's so many things I learned in BNI. So personal growth and leadership development. I've become a leader through BNI. When in the beginning it was with vice president. I was a vice president of my chapter. I have done visitor host. I've done a lot of roles where I've taken leadership inside my chapter, and it just made me a better leader overall. You have a trusted advisory board. BNI is the number 3 is you have a trusted advisory board. I have 25 members in my chapter. There are chapters that have 60 members in it. There are chapters across the country that have 250 people in their chapter. But whatever the case, you have a trusted advisory board. There are people I can call and say, hey, I'm having this issue. What would you do about it? And it might be because they own a business and they've just dealt with the same issues, or it could be something like Anastasia and I were speaking yesterday about our upcoming gala. We're working on a gala for later this year. And we were talking about, well, what do we need for this? And we have people we can call and say, well, what do we need for this, right? I know I need some kind of AV service. I need some kind of audio visual. And I can call Dan Schlegel, who's in my chapter, and say, hey, help me. But I've had people call me personally and say, hey, I have a problem. I have an employee who I think is abusing drugs and I don't know what steps to take. And I know exactly who to introduce them to help them with that step, right? I know exactly who in the region does that sort of work and can help them. So there's so many ways that you have a trusted advisory board, people who you can talk to because you know, like, and trust them. So that's your number 3 value you get out of BNI that you might not be thinking about. Unexpected collaborations and business opportunities. This is one, and actually sometimes it's not even business opportunities, but unexpected collaborations. One of the ways I built my business was to start collaborating with other marketing agencies. I own a marketing agency. It's called No Bullshit Marketing. I own a marketing agency, but I don't do SEO. So I offer SEO to my clients by working directly with a member of one of my chapters. I work directly with him. I write him right into my contract. We have been able to take on much bigger clients than we could when we were on our own and we were a smaller agency. We were smaller agencies. We've brought in other people to help us collaborate on other things, but I'm not the only one. I'll tell you, we have a member who opened a studio this year. She opened a studio. She's a photographer. She opened a studio and she brought in 2 people who are sharing office space with her, and they're working together. They're finding more and more ways to work together, which is really, really interesting. Actually, one of them's a travel agent. The other is a short-term rentals professional. They're working together. In addition to that, she's a photographer and a videographer, but there's only one of her. So when she goes to an event, she works with photographers and videographers throughout the region to create a bigger team. So she has created these opportunities out of BNI to build a bigger business and to present herself in a bigger way. So that's number 4. We talked about the first. Let's to go through them again real quick, and then I'm going to give you my favorite one because I think it is so important, and I'll explain why. Increase confidence in speaking about your business, or confidence about speaking in general. Personal growth and leadership development, that is huge. A trusted advisory board. You have a trusted advisory board with your other members throughout in your chapter and throughout the region. And unexpected collaborations and opportunities. These come from so many different ways. I actually have another member right now who is in Mexico with somebody from her chapter because they decided to do a vacation together. This is just the kind of thing that happens. We kind of get to know each other in a way that we're willing to take a vacation with somebody. So there are these opportunities we might not think of. But my last one I think is really, really important, and I want to share this with you. So many of you know I founded Burgers and Bans for Suicide Prevention. It's a nonprofit that benefits local schools and local organizations for mental health programs. And we started that because we had a child who had depression. But what I have found is that when I speak to people about my organization, when I tell them about my interest in mental health, what they always say to me is, oh, I've been there, or I know somebody's been there. I very seldom, and I say very seldom, I've literally once had somebody say to me, oh, I've never had that. I've never experienced that, or I've never known anybody with that problem. Everybody I know has been affected in some way. And I really believe that part of that is that we're lonely. I think that we're lonely. And I think business professionals, especially business owners, are exceptionally lonely because people don't necessarily understand us. They don't understand what we are going through. They go to work, they do their work, they come home, and they're not worried about whether they're going to keep an employee hired, right? They're not worried about whether they're going to have an opportunity for an employee to grow. They're not worried about some of the things that we worry about. They're not worried about whether their business is going to be here tomorrow. And we do. We worry about those things. So, one of the benefits, and my favorite benefit, is that we have a sense of belonging and community. I actually wrote a few years ago, before I bought BNI, Central Maryland, I wrote an article about the fact that networking is good for our mental health. And I think that mental health is a huge part of why BNI is valuable, because you come in and you're less lonely. You have people you can reach out to. You have people you can talk to if you're having a hard time, or if you're just feeling lonely. You are surrounded by people who think like you, people who understand what you're going through. I'm married. I have a wonderful husband. He is absolutely brilliant, but he works for a really big company. And so when I come home and say, somebody bounced a $6,000 check on me, and that's really upsetting, he doesn't quite get it the same way, because he's dealing with a $6 billion loan over here for his company. And he doesn't understand my small business problem. But another person in my chapter might understand this, and they may say to you, hey, why are you doing that? Why are you letting them write checks? Why aren't you just pulling the money out using a system like a merchant service provider? And by the way, let me introduce you to the merchant service provider. So let's go through real quick one more time. Yes, we get referrals from BNI. I've completely built my business off of BNI. I know so many of my members have. Sometimes I hear they have 90% of their business from BNI. Sometimes I hear they have 30% of their business from BNI. But whatever the case, most of us are getting a lot of business through BNI. And that is absolutely important. I cannot stress it enough how important it is. However, there are other benefits. The other benefits that I just went through with you, let's start from the beginning. An increased confidence in speaking about your business or about anything, right? Your personal growth and development, that's huge. Personal growth and leadership development is a really huge part of BNI. And trusted advisory board, you have people you can come to and talk to about things that are happening, and they've been there. The conversation I had this morning with this person was all about what she's doing with her business. And she could say to me, I don't know, am I on the right track? Is this really going to sell? Should we look at something else? Is the product wrong? Is the service wrong? We can talk about that, because it's a trusted advisory board for her. Unexpected collaborations and opportunities. I cannot stress that enough. Please talk to other members in your chapter and find out who they're working with. And if they're not working with other people in the chapter, call me, message me. Let's find ways for you to work together, because I am finding so many ways every single day to work together, and not just on my own. I'm watching members do this on a regular basis. It is so I love what I do, and I love watching them succeed and create these collaborations. And finally, a sense of belonging and community. It is so important, because I think in this world we are too lonely, and BNI gets rid of that loneliness. You don't have that loneliness because you're surrounding yourself with people who really, truly understand you and what you're going through. All right, I am finished. I am off my soapbox. I hope that you really got something out of this. I would love to hear if there are things I haven't thought about. I do know that there are things, like we have talked to people who have ended up in a relationship with somebody in their chapter or another chapter, and ended up getting married. So that came from that. That same couple we talked to, they actually have had children. So let's just say those are BNI children. They've come from that. There's so many things. I'd love to hear what you've gotten out of BNI, how you have benefited, and why it's not just the referrals, because I know the referrals are important, and we'll talk about those more, how to get them, how to give them, and how to be really grateful for them as you come, because sometimes you forget where some of the referrals come from. And we're going to talk about how to make sure you're keeping track of that. Anyway, I am so grateful for you. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Ann Brennan with BNI Central Maryland, and I will see you next time.